Thank you for your participation to a seminar on PM Gati Shakti Multimodal Logistics Parks today. 皆様、本日は PM ガチシャクティ国家インフラ開発計画複合物流パークセミナーにご参加いただきまして誠にありがとうございます。First, may I invite His Excellency Mr. C.B. George, Ambassador of India to Japan, to make opening remarks. はじめに駐日インド大使シビ・ジョージ閣下より開会挨拶をいただきます。
Good afternoon, everybody. Mr. Gaku Yoda, Deputy Director General, Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry, Government of Japan, and also Chair of IJICP Logistics Working Group. Sri Surendra Ahirwar, Joint Secretary, Logistics, DPIIT, who is also the co-chair of the IJICP Logistics Working Group. Sri Prakash Gaur, Managing Director, National Highway Management Logistics Limited. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's my honor to address you today as we gather to discuss India's ambitious and transformative journey in infrastructure development through the India-Japan cooperation on multi-modal logistics parks. India's infrastructure is the bedrock upon which our nation's progress rests. In recent years, we have undertaken major initiatives to develop world-class highways, railways, ports and airports, thereby fostering connectivity and economic growth. Infrastructure development is not just about building physical structures, it is about creating opportunities for trade, investment and job creation, paving the way for a prosperous and inclusive future. In this endeavor, Japan has been a steadfast partner to India. Collaboration in infrastructure development has been one of the cornerstones of India-Japan special strategic and global partnership. Whether it is the Delhi Metro or the Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor or the Mumbai-Ahmedabad High-Speed Rail Project, Japan's cutting-edge technology and expertise have been instrumental in reshaping India's infrastructure landscape. This partnership exemplifies the strong bond between our two countries and the shared commitment to sustainable and innovative infrastructure solutions that will drive the future of our economies. The PM Gati Shakti initiative is a bold and visionary approach by the Government of India to enhance logistics efficiency across the nation. India has seen a significant improvement in its Logistic Performance Index (LPI) ranking, rising from 54th in 2014 to 38th in 2023. The PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan aims to create a system of interconnected, multimodal transportation networks that seamlessly integrate road, rail, air, and waterways. A total of 35 multimodal logistics parks are planned across India with an investment of around 46,000 crore rupees, capable of handling 700 million metric tons of cargo. Multimodal logistics parks shall serve as regional cargo aggregation and distribution hubs for various industrial and agricultural nodes, consumer hubs, and exim gateways, such as seaports with multimodal connectivity. In certain cases, MMLPs are also to be developed in tandem with the inland waterway terminals to further reduce the cost of inland cargo movement at a much larger scale as compared to conventional road-based movement. To achieve this vision, India has ensured maximum support for private players to facilitate ease of doing business for development of MMLPs. Japanese private companies have considerable experience in executing large-scale infrastructure projects. We welcome and encourage their active participation in the PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan. Dear friends, in recent years, India-Japan Competitiveness Partnership (IJICP) has emerged as an important pillar of our economic partnership. The IJICP comprises of 12 working groups that hold regular meetings and work on collaborations between India and Japan across several important sectors, cutting across domains such as semiconductors, agriculture, capital goods, textiles, and logistics, to state a few. The last meeting of IJICP was held in June 2024 in New Delhi to review the progress of various working groups, and I had the great honor of attending that meeting and see the progress being made by India-Japan partnership in this field. Under the logistics working group, till date we have held 4 meetings, and we are taking forward the cooperation between India and Japan under many different aspects, including the promotion of multimodal logistics parks. We are also promoting joint ventures between container manufacturing and operating companies of India and Japan in the logistics sector. The heads of working group from the Indian side and the Japanese side will further elaborate today on the cooperation under this initiative during the event later. Today is the first event among the series of events that we have planned to shed light on the important collaborations that India and Japan are undertaking under the banner of IJICP. We will have more such meetings in coming months. We look forward to your continued cooperation and participation. Thank you and good afternoon.
Thank you, sir. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Surendra Ahilwal, Joint Secretary, DPIIT, to make a presentation virtually. 続きまして、インド商工省産業国内取引推進局次官補、スレンダラ・アヒルワル様よりオンラインでご講演いただきます。
Am I visible? Yeah. So what do you want? Shall I start speaking or? Okay. Thank you. His Excellency, Ambassador, Minister Economic, my friend Ms. Devjani, Mr. Gaur, my colleague on Indian side from NHLML, officials from METI, my counterpart on Japanese side, Mr. Goku Yoda. I really welcome all of you and a good morning to you all. I appreciate the idea, the efforts made by Embassy of India, Tokyo for organizing this conversation on a very important subject and so much of relevance, that is infrastructure development in general and multimodal infrastructure development in particular, as it exists in India. And there's a huge relevance of this issue or the subject in the Indian context. We understand, and most of us in the room would be aware of, that India is going all out for very accelerated development of infrastructure in the country. And for this, we have undertaken and adopted a very unprecedented and very progressive approach. We are calling it as the PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan, which is being called as a transformative initiative, and directly being led by our Honorable Prime Minister from the front. And since this launch in the October 20, in the month of October, this initiative has borne really a lot of fruits, and we have been seeing this. And this is helping us in a way to ensure the development of infrastructure, which is a prerequisite for economic development, and especially the accelerated economic development which India is aspiring to be having. And we are, as we all understand, and are poised to grow as well at a very fast and accelerated rate of our economy. And as the target has been set for 5 trillion economy by 2026, and reaching that 32 million dream number, 32 trillion dream number by 2047. And all these endeavors are just focused at this aspiration of India. And we understand also that infrastructure as such is the sine qua non for this economic development. India on this front, therefore, has taken very progressive and ambitious measures. And for almost last 3 years, there's been a growth and a substantive growth in the investment in the infrastructure development. And this budget, we have allocated about 11.11 lakh crores of rupees, Indian rupees, for development of infrastructure, and which is almost a threefold increase during the last 3 years or 4. And this infrastructure development and investment in infrastructure is just not confined to the federal government, that's the central government, but also the similar initiative are also seen in the states. And all the states and union territories are definitely on board for achieving this aspiration of developing infrastructure in a very, very accelerated manner to ultimately attain that accelerated economic growth as well. PM Gati Shakti during last 2.5 or rather nearly 3 years have been able to not only establish itself as a mechanism, but also has helped catalyzing the developmental process in the country. And it has turned out to be a truly transformative approach. And if you am to apprise you and then inform everybody in the room, it fills me with a lot of pride and satisfaction that in the last 3 years or so, we have been able to first create that institutional arrangement of which reflects the basic philosophy of all of the government coming together, be it at the center, all the ministries and departments, or the states and the government and the states. All of them have come together through basically two mechanisms. One is institutional mechanism or the administrative mechanism. Other is by use of a digital platform, which we call a geospatial platform, which has been named as PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan Platform. And today, besides having the empowered group of secretaries, wherein 23 infrastructure or economics are represented, and this group is chaired by the cabinet secretary himself, there is also a network planning group under this this mechanism. And the network planning group is basically The infrastructure ministries, be the rail, road, air, shipping, waterways, telecom, power, these ministries are represented in the network planning group. In addition, we also have on board the Ministry of Environment and Forest and Climate Change, and that is able to also take care of the aspect of sustainability. So we are combining just not the endeavors of the infrastructure ministries, but also taking care of sustainability while infrastructure development plans. And this institutional arrangement, which has been fully established in the center, a similar institutional arrangement has been created in the states as well and the union territories in India. And all the states also have similar, like empowered group of secretaries, network planning group in the states, and they are evaluating various infrastructure projects from the PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan approach. And when I say approach, and then for a simpler and then for a greater better understanding of the audience here, I would put it as like there are 4 Ds which are very important, and finally looking at the 5th D. So the first D, which this PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan is able to do is making an assessment or doing a diagnostics of infrastructure gaps or infrastructure deficit, not only vis-a-vis the present requirement or the demand which exists in the market, but also the demand which is assessed and predicted, and accordingly the infrastructure is being planned. So there's a kind of diagnostics which is being possible through this mechanism. And secondly, the decision making is largely, which is not as conventional method, but largely being based on the data, which is coming in form of the geospatial data of every asset, the physical asset on the ground or underground in the country, which has been mapped through the geospatial coordinates of theirs, and then it has the data in form of the attributes, which tells about every infrastructure. And this data is helping all the infrastructure planners and the organizations who are engaged in the development of infrastructure, including NHLML, which Mr. Prakash Gaur would represent. They are using this data for planning the infrastructure, not only the infrastructure standalone, but also it's all connectivity in the proximity and also the remote connectivity. How does it connect to the market? How can it be connected to the markets around that facility or even far away from there? So this is a database decision making which is being very possible. Now today we are also looking at specified requirement of infrastructure. Suppose if I take an example of DFCCIL, the dedicated freight corridor, which has been there under construction for quite a long time, and it is being developed as generally as a railway infrastructure, right? A linear infrastructure, with of course the terminus within that linear infrastructure. But today, there's a difference in approach. We are looking just not at the infrastructure for railways, but we are looking at the infrastructure from the multimodal infrastructure aspect also. And therefore, for every infrastructure plan in this time is also looking at planning of other modes of infrastructure. If I to explain it further, if I take the railway example only, now today, besides planning the railway infrastructure by the Ministry of Railways, they are also looking at how the road can be connected to the railway terminal or the railway station for that matter, how it can be very well connected to inland waterways or maybe the ports. So all these things are going into the planning of infrastructure. So the greater focus is on the multimodal connectivity to every infrastructure or intermodal connectivity of the transport infrastructure. So this has been a kind of a diversified and yet integrated approach which is being adopted for planning of infrastructure. The third D, if I have to talk, or the fourth D, there's been a synchronized implementation or even the planning of implementation, which is being possible through this mechanism. because all the ministries, concerned ministries who are into infrastructure development are coming together, sitting together in a meeting and deciding about how the be implemented, and there can be development or implementation of different projects in diverse modes, be rail, road, air, or all of them put together. So this has been possible. And the fifth D, which I call is the most important, and it's an outcome, the most important outcome of all these 4 Ds, is the de-risking of the projects, the infrastructure projects, and also consequently the investment in these projects. Now, considering that there's a data-based decision-making approach, there's a whole of the government coming together, including the state governments, and also there's extensive consultation which is happening from the technical perspective, and the evaluation of every plan or the project plan is being done by the expert bodies. Lot of things which we call as the risk factors, be it related to the environmental risk, we are having it evaluated with the planning itself, and we are able to foresee what can be the problem which the project might be facing in the course of implementation. The risk related to the land acquisition, everything is foreseen at the stage of planning of infrastructure. Even the planning related risk or the implementation related risk can be foreseen at the planning stage itself, and therefore there can be a better and more efficient plan for implementation of a particular project. There has also been a considerable reduction in the financial cost, which generally is associated with the infrastructure projects, especially the major infrastructure projects, is we are at the planning stage itself able to work out what are the suitable ways of financing that infrastructure. So all these aspects are being looked at the planning stage. There's a lot of de-risking which is happening, and since all the governments are coming together, as I said earlier, therefore there's an administrative risk which is considerably reduced, and therefore there's a greater confidence which is natural through the situation among the investors, be it the private investor or foreign investor coming to India. And this also leading to a kind of optimal utilization of resources. And with adequate conservation of the environment as well. All these things are being done through usage of the data which is available on the geospatial platform, the PM Gati Shakti National Master Platform, and the administrative mechanism which has been created for this purpose. And if I'm to report to you what we have been able to do during last nearly 3 years, I'm happy to say that we have had almost 45 such 70 such meetings of the network planning group, who have evaluated more than 150 projects, major projects to say, which in Indian terms would be 500 crores or more. So about 15 lakh crores rupees value of the projects, they have been evaluated by the network planning group, and all these projects have been made more multimodal, more implementable, more integrated, and much de-risked projects when it comes to their implementation or the investment into these projects. So this has been going on just not, but the states have also shown their enthusiasm of a similar scale, if not equal, and they have also planned almost 400 projects on this platform, and to the so-called digital infrastructure which has been created. Besides the National Master Plan digital platform, there are 36 states and union territories state master plans, which are the portals, which has been networked with the National Master Plan portal. So it's a network of the digital infrastructure, of the planning platforms, which are helping and come in integrated planning of infrastructure, adopting whole of the government approach and whole of the sector approach. So this network is further being made a little more intelligent, and maybe in course of time, you will be having this platform with equipped with artificial intelligence, machine learning, which can do a predictive planning of the infrastructure, and then also can be generated, or the options for different project plans can be generated from the system in a more automated manner. So we have a lot of excitement in the future, and we are looking forward with great optimism for greater adoption of this mechanism in planning of infrastructure by the center and by the states. And to complement further to the National Master Plan initiative, or the PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan initiative, in 2022, again, Honorable Prime Minister launched another initiative, which we call as National Logistics Policy. This logistics policy, which is definitely unprecedented in India, and I think I think Japan only probably has their national logistics policy, but it is not a very commonplace thing to happen in any other country, but only a few countries, including India. So after the adoption of national logistics policy, we have set our goals for attaining greater efficiency in the logistics sector by creating more infrastructure, by digitalization of the processes, and developing the human resource who are engaged in the logistics sector. So PM Gati Shakti is looking at the hard infrastructure. The national logistics policy is looking at the processes, the human resources, the digitalization, or other the automation in the sector, right? And there's a great focus, which is common to both these initiatives, on development of multimodal logistics parks, right? And this has been the stated goal of PM Gati Shakti, with transformative approach for development of multimodal infrastructure in the country. Similarly, the National Logistics Policy also looks at integrated development of multimodal infrastructure and sets the broader guidelines, and also looking at development of all that microscopic aspect of the guidelines. And regarding that, we are already working and in an advanced stage probably, wherein you would be having a specific about the multimodal logistics parks, which will set the question, give the answers to the questions like, what should be the location of the multimodal logistics parks, how many logistics parks or multimodal logistics parks on different scale which are required in the country, and what can be the right mechanism of financing such an infrastructure, or what should be the scale of amenities or the facilities which should be available in different kinds of multimodal logistics parks, which can be developed in different regions of the country. So all these questions are going to be answered through that, through those elaborate guidelines, which will be coming in maybe a month's time or a little more. But yes, they would be in place. So that's being done under National Logistics Policy. And we have been also evaluating all the multimodal logistics parks projects, especially which are being developed in the public sector, including the ones which are coming from NHLML. Mr. Gaur has also submitted the projects. And as we understand, we have 3 major MMLP projects in the country, including Visakhapatnam, Pune, and Anantapur, and many more are in pipeline. Some are almost near completion stage, like Jogi Gofai in northeastern region. So a lot of activities going on, and as we understand, and Mr. Gaur would also be sharing the details on that part, about 36 multimodal logistics parks, or the location for the multimodal logistics parks have been identified in the country, and they would be developed in the course of time. So there's a huge opportunity for investors to invest in infrastructure development in India, and especially in development logistics parks and other multimodal infrastructure. And let me also cite out here that we are looking very seriously about for development of intermodal infrastructure, which has become a major bottleneck and I would say the Achilles heel of the infrastructure sector in the country. And these are small infrastructures, maybe 2 or 3 kilometers of road or 2 or 3 kilometers of rail, or maybe some jetties which will connect the Indian waterways terminals to the maybe railway network. So a lot of intermodal infrastructures which are seen as deficit right in the country. They are being also looked at for development. And for doing this thing, we are again promoting states and encouraging states to use a special capital assistance scheme wherein about 1.25 lakh crores are being given as assistance, capital assistance to the states. But is required for the state's economic development. And all these infrastructure projects are being planned or mapped on the state master plan or geospatial platforms, which are definitely promoting that database decision making even in the states. So the capital assistance, the digital development, or digital infrastructure development, for all these aspects, the government of India is giving assistance to the states and helping them to make better plans of infrastructure or greater infrastructure and therefore attain accelerated development through this infrastructure development of the Indian economy. And with this, I'll stop and thank again the Embassy of India, Tokyo, and His Excellency the Ambassador for this opportunity, and definitely for organizing such a conversation, which is so relevant. And I wish a good outcome from this conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for the remarks. Next, I would like to request Mr. Gaku Yoda, Deputy Director General for Trade Economic Cooperation, Southwest Asia, Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry, Government of Japan to make a remarks. 続きまして、経済産業省大臣官房審議官通商政策局農林水産品輸出担当与田岳様よりご挨拶をいただきます。
Thank you for introduction. So hello everybody. Thank you for inviting me to PM Gati Shakti Multimodal Logic Parks event organized by the Embassy of India. This is Yoda Gaku, Deputy Director General in charge of the Southwest Asia, including India, at Ministry of Economic Trade and Industry. Today, I would like to provide a brief introduction to the initiative we are currently making in the field of logistics in collaboration with the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, as Ambassador already explained. Japan and India are the only special strategic global partners with a long history of interaction. We have strong economic ties with approximately 1,500 Japanese companies and 50 bases in India. We, Japan, have continued to contribute to Make in India with the development of the Indian manufacturing sector. 2 years ago, in March 2022, the Prime Minister of both countries set a target to achieve 5 trillion yen in public and private investment in India by 2027. Currently, direct investment from Japan to India has reached 3 trillion yen. So next slide, please. So to further enhance economic relationship between Japan and India, Ministry METI launched the Initiative for Japan-India Industry Co-creation in July last year during the visit of the Minister of METI to India. The initiative consists of 3 pillars. Firstly, innovation-based creation of future industries such as semiconductors, digital technology, and energy. And secondly, evolution of existing industry, including steel and textiles. And lastly, a business development into new markets in Africa and other regions. These pillars aim to promote the development of future industries, upgrade existing industries, and expand into new markets, particularly in Africa and Middle East, with India serving as a base. Next slide, please. So to put this initiative into effect, we are moving forward India-Japan Industrial Competitiveness Partnership, IJICP, Ambassador already mentioned, a comprehensive bilateral framework established in December 2019 under the leadership of the Minister of METI, Mr. Kajiyama, and the Minister of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Goyal. In this dialogue framework, we have established 12 working groups to facilitate discussions, including agriculture working group added in June this year. The Logistic Workshop group engages across various sectors, including manufacturing and agriculture, and plays a crucial role in discussing the incredibly important aspect of logistics to achieve the third pillar of the initiative for India industry co-creation I mentioned earlier, which is the expansion into new markets based in India. I'd like to play a co-chair for the Logistic Working Group with Dr. Akilbar, who gave a great presentation earlier. Next slide, please. One example of best practices in logistic cooperation between Japan and India is the establishment of a joint venture called Logistic Data Services by NEC, a leading IT company in Japan, and the National Industrial Corridor Development and Implementation Trust in India. This joint venture aims to provide services that enhance visibility and streamline operation in logistics. This case showed the potential for leveraging technology and data in the logistics sector to improve efficiency and effectiveness. In the future discussion of the Logistic Working Group, we aim to promote dialogue toward the advancement of logistics in India while keeping such best practice in mind. Through today's event, I hope the Japanese companies will gain a deeper understanding of India's infrastructure plan for logistics Gati Shakti, and that will further encourage investment to India. Thank you for listening.
池田様、ありがとうございました。Next, may I request Mr. Prakash Gaur, Managing Director, National Highway Logistics Management Limited, to make a presentation virtually. 続きまして、ナショナルハイウェイロジスティクスマネジメントリミテッドマネージングディレクター、プラカーシュ・ガウル様よりオンラインでご講演いただきます。
From India, Mr. Hailwar San, were giving an excellent opening remarks and telling the audience about the PM Gati Shakti plan. Director Mati Gakuyoda San and my friends in Japan. First of all, I thank Embassy of India to do such wonderful conference on the subject which we are working very hard in India to develop this sector. I'll take another 5 to 10 minutes to give you overview what we are doing in the physical infrastructure side. As Mr. Harivar San told you that on the policy level, what the government of India are doing, and to execute that policies, we as an arm of the ministries of government of India working on that. Next. As you can see that India ranks comparatively very low. We have improvised a lot in last 10 years from 54 to 38 ranks, but still rank very low in terms of logistic infrastructure as compared to our friendly country Japan, ranks 13. So we need to learn a lot from Japan, do a technology transfer and understanding of logistics, which can be done in India to come to level of high developed countries in this. What we have done for that, we have identified the pain points of to improve the logistics efficiencies. And the key pain points for us is, one is when we say low economies of scale, meaning is the low pallet size. So we have a different small warehousing markets. We have a point to lacking in a point to transit hubs, which increase the high variable cost. So we are developing this infrastructure completely to increase the pallet size, which will further enhance the intermodal mix. If you see our transportation share for the cargo side is very high on the road side, while very low on the rail and water side, which leads to high transportation costs. So our entire focus is, as told by Harivar San, that how do we improvise this so our transportation cost can be reduced by developing a multimodal facility, which in turn also lacking in digital infrastructures. For that, as been seen by the presentation by Harivar San, Yakuboda San, that we are developing a unified logistics interface platform where all the data of logistics is digitally available for this. So as you can see, to address these pain points, we are developing multimodal logistics parks, which is switching to low cost to low transportation solutions, developing with rail and road dedicated corridors. We are also developing national waterways. So at the end of the day, we have integrated facility of road, rail, water, and air facility, which is being developed. Next. As you can see, the PM Gati Shakti, which was launched in October 22, has helped us a lot in developing this infrastructure. Can be seen from this map, it is not just about developing an infrastructure here. On one single, I don't think across the globe such facility which is available, where on one single platform in such a large nation, everything is available for developing an infrastructure. And when I say infrastructure, physical does not mean road or rail or economic aspect. Also, the environment aspect has been seen to minimizing the ecological impact of this thing. What are the common right of way can be used? How the infrastructure can be benefited by other sectors, by the industries. And as Harivar San mentioned, then when we evaluate this project, and especially the multimodal project we evaluated, we showcase one of the samples here, is being evaluated on all different avenues by 69 ministries and concerned state governments comes together and evaluate this plan, the larger interest of development. So what we intend to do a multimodals, in fact, last few years, we were trying to learn that what should be the really multimodal meaning is. And our national logistic policy provides a definition of MML means, what it means. Broadly, if I have to say in higher senses, that making a point-to-point transit hub, you aggregate the cargoes, making it a low-cost, high-load transportation modes, railways or waterways, or high pallet size of roads, and going to the another distribution centers, they're again distributed in a smaller. So it provides the freight aggregation and distributions. It provides the various. It is not just about a transit hub. It also provides services for storage and warehousing solution. And the more important is the value-added services for the product. So when you're aggregating the cargoes, the product value addition can also be done, which will enhance the pallet size, which will ultimately lead to increase the transportation and reducing the logistics cost, which in turn will also help as carbon footprint, helping the globe in reducing the carbon footprint. And these are not a small size. If I have to give the scale, these parks, especially a logistics park, will vary from 100 acres to 500 acres in case, because the case may be. If I have to say, then you can see these are 35 multimodal X parks, which is first approved by Government of India, which are under implementation. As Hivasan mentioned, the 6 are already under implementation. Jogi-Gopa is in very advanced stage. In fact, this year we are targeting to operationalize out of these 3, Jogi-Gopa, Nagpur, and Jalna. And then next year we will target another 3 to be operationalized. As you can see, the green dot which are there on the map are under implementation. It is not at one location. India being such a vast country, you can see one we are doing northeast, one we are doing central India, we are doing South India. So everywhere this has been given that multimodal networks to be done. And 3 tenders are under bidding process, which is Anandpur, Pune, Nasik. You can see purple dots which has been given. And the yellow dots, what you see, are also coming up in this year for ready for implementation for bidding. The help of this MMLP will be that we will be able to aggregate almost 50% of the entire freight cargo traffic corridor onto this. Now come to the model. What it does is we provide when I say definition, the specific case of Bangalore MMLP, which is under implementation, which has a railway facilities, which is a closed warehousing, which has a silos for the bulk cargoes, it has an open warehousing for automobile and other equipment, it has a commercial areas, trucker facilities, custom owned area, and the cold storage facilities. All the facilities which are being given there. So what can be seen very large facilities in developed countries. These are the kind of facilities. This will be very large, as you can see, almost 400 acres in area, which will be able to cater 30 million metric tons per annum. Thing is, the facility has been designed for 45 years. Thing is, and this has been very well planned while seeing the road, rail, and the near port connectivities, direct port connectivity can be there first. Developer who comes on board, we provide this basic master plan. Then developer's concessionaire who comes on board, he can improvise these facilities. All these projects are being implemented on public-private partnership basis. So when we say public-private partnership basis, I'll come to the model on that. Where what authority does, see in the challenge, India being such diverse countries, we have the various agencies works together. So this is also another example of PM Gati Shakti principle, where institutionally we all come to the state government, the provincial government, the railway authorities, the shipping authorities, and the logistic company, which is represented by Ministry of Road Transport. We all come together and create a special purpose vehicle for developing these projects, which act like an authority developed on a public-private partnership. Then we select a private party on DBFOT model, design, build, finance, operate, transfer model. We provide 45 years, a long concession to the private parties for developing and operation maintaining these park facilities. Here is an opportunity for the Japanese investor and companies to come and participate in developing these large infrastructure. So if we go to the principles on that, we provide land, we provide railways, we provide highway connectivities. Entire trunk infrastructure are being provided by the authorities. So long gestation investment is being taken by the authorities, and the short gestations investment being taken by the private sector by developing, with all approval and clearances by a single window through the authority SPV which has been created. If I have to give you a broad overview for the Japanese investor side to come and participate, this thing is, as I mentioned, these are 45-year concessions. While developing these projects will have a 15-year horizon, and one can develop in 3 phases. First phase to be developed within 2 years' time. And what we really see from the developer side is, when we say that we have given the basic master plan, we need, based on the market assessment, they can bring the value engineering in the master plan and do a 1/3 of the investments in this. The scale of investment in these projects varying from $100 million to $200 million, which is done over a period of 15 years. The first investment of 30% of say $100 million to be done within 2 years' time. Developers who comes and being selected, they get the land, develop land, they get road connectivities, 4 to 6 lane road connectivities to the nearest expressways, highways, and the rail connectivities from the nearest rail corridors. So all the approval creates things. The developer is free to do its own master plan. It provides the value engineering in that. It can also do a commercial establishment. It can sub-license the assets for operation maintenance. It need to pay a minimum guaranteed revenue share to the authorities. We have for the investor side, we have the various options available where the investors can come and participate. A pure engineering firm can participate given its requisite technical experience, or a pure fund, investor companies or the banking firm or financial institution also want to come and develop these parks through their technical arms. They can, using only financial criteria, can be participate in these things. The period for the development of this. So when we select the private developers, we issue the LOI, and within 1.5 we get 1.5 months to sign, 45 days to sign the agreement. The timelines are important because I know the Japanese side, they were very meticulous on the planning part. So we give 7.5 months for planning and development of this thing. So first, after issuing the LOI, till 7.5 months, the period is for planning and preparations. The entire master planning is to be done, all approval clearance is to be done, and authority sites, it provide the land. And the developer concession also need to achieve the financial closure in this period. Then the contract become affected, which we call it appointed date. And from there, the construction work at site start. As I mentioned in my previous remarks, is that within 24 months, the first phase to be operationalized, which is 1/3 of the committed investment by the private party. We give the broad outline of the investments, as I mentioned, to $100 million or $200 million. And developer comes and it provides its own master plan, its own cost estimates, and based on that, 1/3 is to be done for within 24 months to make it operational. And we provide the road and rail connectivities within 18 months and the 4 years from the appointed date. So all the things are being readily available. What I propose to the Japanese investors in a very brief sense, that all the pain point of such long gestation infrastructures are being taken care by the government by providing the land, by providing the road connectivity, by providing the rail connectivity, by providing the water connectivity, by providing the ICT connectivity, by providing the water connectivity. So all external infrastructure is being provided by the authority, and developers need to do a development within the park. So within the fencing area, how the development will happen is that the developer's proposal is, and it has to maintain and operate for 45 years and earn revenues out of this thing. So these are very wonderful opportunities with the investment size of almost 50,000 crores in this, on $8 billion to international currencies in this. $7 to $8 billion this comes, which is available. And every year we are coming such 5 to 6 facilities. So every alternate month you will see the projects are coming and being developed. So there's a huge opportunities for the private sector of Japanese sites to come and participate in things. You have done the wonderful job in Delhi Mumbai industrial corridors, as His Excellency Chief Justice mentioned that in the high-speed rail and other infrastructure you have participated. We invite the Japanese investors, Japanese companies to do this also, where we can also learn a technology transfer from Japanese side to improve the logistic efficiency and become the competitive industrial competitiveness, which is a main motto of this cooperation. Thank you. Thank you. I invite the Japanese side to participate in this. Thank you very much. I'll be very happy for any question answers.
Thank you, sir, for the presentation. Lastly, we will show a video on multimodal logistics parks. Please see the screen. 最後に複合物流パークについてのビデオを上映いたしますので、スクリーンをご覧くださいませ。
India, with more than 6.2 million kilometers of roads, has the second largest road network in the world, comprising of expressways, national highways, state highways, and district roads. The government, through a series of initiatives, is working to improve the logistics efficiency of the country to provide a boost to the economy. In line with the vision of seamless infrastructure connectivity as laid out in PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan by Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi, Honorable Minister of Road Transport and Highways Shri Nitin Gadkari, Ministry of Road Transport and Highways has conceptualized the development of multimodal logistics parks or MMLPs at 35 strategic locations. MMLPs will enable seamless multimodal freight transfer and efficient movement of goods across the country. MMLPs will also facilitate a hub-and-spoke model of freight movement with hub-to-hub line haul movement on more efficient modes such as rail and larger trucks, thereby reducing cost of freight movement. Facilities such as warehouses, cold storages, bulk cargo terminals, custom clearance, truck terminal, lodging and boarding for truckers would be available at MMLPs. National Highways Logistics Management Limited (NHLML) is the nodal agency for development of MMLPs. MMLPs will be developed in PPP mode at a total cost of approximately $5.6 billion. Project-specific special purpose vehicles (SPVs) are being formed, such as Chennai MMLP Limited, Nagpur MMLP Limited, with stakeholders such as central and state government, port authorities, Inland Waterways Authority and railway authorities to manage the development of MMLPs. Government is providing land and facilitating external connectivity of MMLPs to various modes of transport. Private investors will develop and operate the MMLPs. MOUs have been signed with agencies such as National Industrial Corridor Development Corporation Limited for development of MMLPs on industrial corridors, Inland Waterways Authority of India to create integrated national waterway transportation grid, and Rail Vikas Nigam Limited for providing external rail connectivity to the MMLP site. MMLPs at Jogikopa, Chennai, Bangalore, Indore, Nagpur and Jalna are awarded and under implementation. Bids invited for MMLP Anandpur, Pune and Nashik. Bids to be invited for Hyderabad, Coimbatore, Mumbai, Visakhapatnam, Jammu, Varanasi, Patna. Pre-feasibility completed for remaining locations. Development of MMLPs will optimize India's logistics cost from 14% to 8 to 9% of the GDP and provide an impetus to India's logistics infrastructure by enhancing connectivity, accelerating freight speed, and reducing logistics cost, while generating employment opportunities, thus helping India to move closer to its goal of becoming an economic superpower.
We will now conclude the seminar on PM Gati Shakti Multimodal Logistics Parks today. Thank you very much for all the speakers to share valuable speech and presentation, and thank you very much for all the participants to share your time with us. We will have a networking session with tea at the foyer, so please join us. 以上をもちまして、本日のセミナー PM ガチシャクティ国家インフラ開発計画複合物流パークを終了とさせていただきます。この後、ネットワーキングセッションをこの会場を出てすぐのフォアイエで開催いたします。インドのお茶もございますので、皆様ぜひご参加くださいませ。本日はご参加いただきまして誠にありがとうございました。